Wardell Stephen Curry II. Just want to sit back and bask in the greatness that we witnessed yesterday afternoon, be it in the early afternoon if you're on the West Coast and late if you're on the East Coast. But Steph Curry in a Game 7, season on the line, many argue the dynasty on the line, which I feel is a little premature. Feels like a lot of people have been trying to force the end of the dynasty, and it just doesn't work that way. But Steph Curry did something quite unprecedented. He dropped 58 and 6 on 20 of 38 shooting from the field, 7 for 18 from three-point range. Ladies and gentlemen, up until yesterday, no player in the history of the National Basketball Association could say that they scored 50 in a Game 7. That is until Stephen Curry himself. What makes it sweet, and I'll get to the Kings aspect of this in just a second, but Steph Curry, according to multiple reports, according to Draymond Green himself, who talked in his podcast late last night, the Draymond Green Show, which just won a Peabody Award, I'm pretty sure, for the best sports podcast. Congratulations, Draymond. Well-deserved. But they talked about how after the Game 6 loss, obviously I didn't get a chance to react to Game 6 because it was on a Friday, but after the Warriors lost Game 6 to the Sacramento Kings at home, when everybody, including myself, were thinking, oh, Golden State's closing this out. They're not losing a home game with an opportunity to advance to the second round. Not only did they lose, they got mollywopped. De'Aaron Fox did a number on him. Malik Monk did a number on them in particular. Trey Lyles off the bench played excellent. All the Kings role players did. And according to The Athletic, this article in The Athletic, which was, if you haven't read it yet, please do. It talked about how Steph couldn't sleep that night. And he woke up to a 4 a.m. text from Draymond Green talking about how, I'm just sick to my stomach. I can't believe we just let that opportunity slip. And Steph said, let me speak to the team after the film session. And Steph, paraphrasing here, said, if you don't believe we can go win Game 7 in Sacramento, then don't get on the bus. If you do, then I see that as a sign of a signature of approval, essentially saying you believe that we can go win Game 7. And Steph said it in again, not verbatim here, get on my back. To the Sacramento Kings for a brief moment, they had a fantastic season. I greatly underestimated those guys coming into this postseason. As a matter of fact, those that have watched the show for any length of time over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks or so, I was praying my Golden State Warriors, given the situation they were in terms of the record, would get the 6th seed so that they could avoid the play-in tournament, but also avoid a potential matchup with the Phoenix Suns and instead get the Sacramento Kings. I am here to tell you today Sacramento would beat Phoenix in the best-of-7 series. They would. Mike Brown, as I said, from All-Star break on, no doubt Coach of the Year, and as a matter of fact, the media essentially sent that message by awarding him the first ever unanimous Coach of the Year in the history of the NBA. De'Aaron Fox won the very first ever Clutch Player of the Year award, and there's no player in the NBA this year that deserved it more than that young man. He was spectacular this season, and he was even better in the postseason, averaging around 30 points a game, hitting big shot after big shot. Every time that man had the ball in his hands in any of the 7 games, the fourth quarter, I tensed up, I got nervous. And as a Warriors fan, as a guy who's seen my team win 4 championships, not a whole lot of guys do that to me. And I don't want to speak for all of Dub Nation, but I'm sure a lot of you Warriors fans watching or listening could say the same. Malik Monk had an excellent series. I mentioned Trey Lyles in Game 6. The Davis, what was it? Terrence Davis, I think is his name. Last night had a big Game 7. Everybody stepped up, minus Domantas Sabonis, who got shut down by Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, but that's neither here nor there. Sacramento's coming. They've got a great home fan base, arguably the loudest arena in the NBA. I think Light the Beam is a little bit corny, but it's a fantastic fan base, a beautiful arena, by the way. They have as bright a future as there is in the NBA, and they have nothing to hang their heads over. Because there's nothing they could have done to stop the storm and the avalanche that came their way in the 7th and decisive game from Steph Curry. We're talking 30-foot threes. We're talking ankle breaking threes, step backs, behind the back, catch and shoot, the whole bit. But we also saw a filthy, just disgusting layup package. The little reverse. He had a couple teardrops. I think it was his first buck of the game, where he's driving baseline and then just hangs and just lays that puppy in the air, and it's nothing but net. That thing doesn't even hit the rim. They didn't even draw iron. It was beautiful. Just little baby kiss into the net. It's beautiful. You saw that last layup that gave him 50? Weaving in and out of the defense. He probably got fouled 5 times the play. That's neither here nor there. But he's just weaving it out. I mean, that's a layup package that I think Kyrie Irving was watching like, bro, I don't know if I can do that. Listen, I got a bag. I don't know if I got that kind of bag. And y'all know what I think about Kyrie's handles. He was simply spectacular. As a matter of fact, here's a stat that I saw today that shows you how great Steph Curry was. We think about him in the terms of the greatest shooter ever. And I mean, that got decided to me with the shot behind me. I had that mural of Steph with the walk-off shot against OKC. I think that cemented him as the greatest shooter ever 7 years ago. So we already knew that. We don't give him enough credit for how good of a scorer he is. Mid-range, obviously, we know about the three. Off the dribble, catch and shoot, getting to the basket, knocking down his free throws, which he missed some of his free throws yesterday, which is a bit concerning. But he's Steph Curry. He'll get back on track. But how about this stat, okay? Last night, Steph Curry became the first player in NBA history to record 20 or more points from three and 20 or more points in the paint in the same game. That's what he does. And that is why you're seeing a lot of folks talk about today referring to him as the best player in the world. Well, welcome to the ship, because I've been saying that since June of last year. I love Giannis. He's a much better defender than Steph Curry. He's more of a force in the paint than Steph Curry. He doesn't have a jump shot to speak of. He can't handle the ball like Steph. He can't pass like Steph. He doesn't make offense easier for his teammates like Steph. I love KD, but Steph won without him when he left. Joel Embiid, could you please get to a conference finals? Could you stay healthy, for crying out loud, in the postseason? Kawhi, stop it. He's never available. Jokic, stop. He's never been to a finals, for crying out loud. Luka Doncic just missed the playoffs. Any and every name, even LeBron James, who Golden State's about to face the second round, while still great, is not the LeBron James of old. I'm glad it seems like the media is finally now catching on to what I've been saying for 10 months. Steph Curry is, by a significant margin, the best basketball player on planet Earth. The first 50-point Game 7 in NBA history. And here's an even better stat. Because remember, the record belonged to Kevin Durant from 2 years ago. Remember that 48-point game against Milwaukee? It was just a masterpiece. Remember he hit that shot that we thought live won the game, but when we saw his foot was on the line, and Milwaukee ended up winning that Game 7 2 years ago? How about this? This makes the 50-point game even better. Steph is the last player to score, only the second player to score 45 or more in a Game 7 in a win in the last 60 years. 6 decades, Steph is only the second player to score 45 or more in a Game 7 in a winning effort. And that brings me to my next point. I'll get into the Warriors later on and throughout the weeks to come. I didn't think this was possible after this series was over, or at least coming into the series, rather. You guys know, after Steph won the finals last year, I said going in that finals, I said he's not top 10 for only one reason. He has all the resume of a top 10 player, right? The 3 championships, the 2 MVPs, 1 be unanimous. He's the greatest shooter ever. I mean, heck, he's even got an all-star MVP, which is a nice little cherry on top. But he didn't have that finals MVP. And that's kind of like the entry-level thing to get into the club of top 10 players all time. Steph didn't have it. He got it, and because his resume was so great, that was the one thing keeping away. And once he got it, boom, he bolted into the top 7 for me. I didn't think it was possible for him to move up until the NBA Finals, if he were to win this year's Finals. I was wrong. I'm hearing a lot of discussion. I heard Colin Cowherd say it today. I heard Stephen A. Smith alluded to it yesterday on NBA Countdown and on his podcast that Steph has passed Magic or should be in the discussion to pass Magic as the greatest point guard ever. I'm probably the biggest Steph Curry fan on planet Earth. I do not think he's passed Magic Johnson quite yet. But he has passed Tim Duncan. Steph is now the 6th greatest player in the history of the game. In a game in which Klay Thompson, aside from a few shots in the third, gave you almost nothing offensively. In which Draymond Green was decent, but not Draymond Green. Not like nowhere near the Game 5 performance he had against Sacramento, although he was good defensively. In a game in which Andrew Wiggins can't buy a free throw. Jordan Poole is Jordan Poole again. More on him later. Doesn't get a whole lot of production from guys like DiVincenzo. Now, he got all kinds of help from Kevon Looney. How about 11 points and 20-plus rebounds? Kevon was amazing. In a game in which Steph's second leading scorer scored 17 points, he dropped 50. And he did it efficiently. It's one thing to score 50. It's another to do it on over 50% shooting. That's hard. In a series in which few thought the Warriors could win, even fewer thought the Warriors could win after they fell down 0-2 to Sacramento. And I told y'all a week and a half ago, I said, just hang on. These are the champions we're talking about. This is the greatest dynasty since the Jordan Bulls. They're going to respond. And what do? Blowout in game 3, skin of their teeth win in game 4, great closeout win in 5. They were awful in 6. No excuse for that. And Mr. Curry led the way in game 7. And now the basketball gods have granted all of us just a real treat. We get LeBron and Steph round 5 in the second round of this year's postseason. I will get to the Lakers and the Grizzlies in just a second. We cannot understate how great Steph Curry was, not just throughout the series, but last night. And he kind of tends to have these big performances. Oftentimes, we let 2016, in which Steph was bad. I will never excuse how he played in Game 7, in particular against the Cavs in 2016. We often let that blind us from the overwhelming resume of great things he did. Yesterday, all you can do is stand in awe, watch, and witness pure greatness and the 6th greatest player in NBA history. The only guys, if y'all are asking who the 5 above him are, in this order, LeBron, Michael, Kareem, Kobe, Magic. Magic is next on the list. And with the title, Steph passes him. Steph absolutely passes him with a championship. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.